Now that the rains have come, the big question out there is, should Kenyans be expecting some reprieve, at least from the biting high cost of electricity moving forward?
Thank you. And yes, the rains have come, but unfortunately, we don't seem to have been very lucky in terms of the infill of the dams. The change in the dam level has not been that significant. I think the rains have been there, yes, especially in this part of the country. But you know, the lanes that fill into the dams are the lanes in the slopes of Aberdares and Mount Kenya. So we have had not that much significant infill, and we are still relying on thermal energy more significantly than the hydro energy. So even though there may be a gradual decrease in the fuel cost charge, it may not be as significant as everybody expects. We would hope that the long lanes will be much more. Remember, we had depleted the dams to such an extent that we had reached the lowest level that would be able to generate power from the Masiga Dam itself. And therefore, it has taken a long time and a lot of water to have any significant infill.
But reports have been suggesting that you do see lower power costs once the country has a stable supply of power through the adoption of green energy. You are exploring sources of other energy, having signed a wind energy agreement. Run us through what's in the pipeline in terms of diversifying your energy sources.
Thank you. And yes, the country is, particularly the Ministry of Energy and the government, are fully committed to diversifying the available sources of energy other than hydro, especially geothermal and wind energy. Yes, you are quite right. We did sign a power purchase agreement of a 300 megawatt power plant recently, which is supposed to be generated at Laisamis, quite a distance from here, and then a transmission line to convey that power from Laisamis to Nairobi. We've got several geothermal developments which are online, particularly with the KenGen and the other independent power producers. We have one of All Power 4, which we are just about to sign and agree on a power purchase agreement. The government has itself put in place a new instrument, the Geothermal Development Company, to fully focus on geothermal development. And recently you would have seen that the Prime Minister and a big team were in Japan, and a lot of money was apportioned and allocated to geothermal development, because that is where the government is focusing on, so that we can be able to have more green energy and reduce the dependence on thermal energy. That way we'll be able to have sustainable prices, because the thermal energy, which gives rise to fuel cost charge, is mainly calculated on the basis of the amount of fuel that we use and the cost of the fuel. And therefore, when the cost of the fuel in the international market goes up, it means that people have to contend with the paying more for the fuel cost charge, and therefore the final bill. But once we get more green energy coming on stream, the sustainability of the price will be realized, because, as you reckon, green energy does not require any fuel. Green energy, for example, geothermal, relies on the fuel that is developed deep inside the ground. It is not imported. And also, of course, the wind relies on the wind itself, which acts as a prime mover. So the focus is on geothermal, wind energy, small hydro plants located in several parts of the country. And once we get sufficient green energy, we should be able to see a gradual sustainability of the price of electricity, or at least even a reduction once we get more of it.
Well, Joseph, we've just heard in the news as well, while these strides are being made, private equity investors are showing increased interest in Kenya's power sector as a whole. I mean, this as lower investments by the government in actually building power plants opens up a fertile business opportunity for private capital. So what kind of playing field are we looking at in the power sector in Kenya moving forward in your books?
Thank you. The government itself has as I said, is very committed to this green energy development, and one of the instruments that the government is working on is a sovereign guarantee. And once the sovereign guarantee instrument is available, it will mean that most of the investors and other lenders will be able to be more comfortable in terms of injecting more funds and resources into the development of green energy. And that once we get that development on stream, then we'll be getting close to what I would call stable prices of electricity.
Of course, because that landscape becomes all the more competitive. In that context, you're exploring new revenue streams. We've heard that KPLC signed a 828 million shilling infrastructure sharing agreement with various telecom operators in the country. Is that an area that you see contributing as significantly to your bottom line moving forward?
Yes, it is. It's one of our strategies of diversifying our revenue sources. And remember, the fiber optic is just an opportunity that allows, as a result of extra fibers that were available as we installed a fiber optic, to deal with our own internal communication, control and protection of our system. And since the incremental cost of using a fiber which has got more pairs was very insignificant, then we had a redundancy of those fibers, and that is what we are using to create some business and to also create some revenue streams. But other than that, we have many other strategies in place. For example, we have cost containment measures. As soon as we realize that we are not likely to realize as much sale of electricity due to the reduced hydro resources, and as you know, we even had to do power rationing for about 1 month. We went into cost containment measures and other loss reduction measures so that we can be able to enhance our revenue streams. And that will definitely keep us going for quite a time. Of course, together with other diversification strategies like fiber optic and other strategies that will soon bring on board for people to see what we are doing.
So with all of that at play then, just what kind of earnings forecast do you have out there for KPLC this year?
Well, we anticipate to do a little bit better than we did last year, and maybe towards the end of this week we'll be releasing our half-year results, which looks quite promising. But more than that, we of course have a lot of capital-intensive projects that require a lot of funds to be injected so that we can improve the quality of power. I think our focus is more on enhancing the quality of power that we supply to our customers, more than the profit. Remember, this is a utility, and the service that we give is so critical. People need to ensure that that service is reliable, that service is available at all times. And so our focus is more on ensuring that our network is good, is operating well, and is giving our services to the expectation of our customers.
And Joseph, that not just in Kenya alone. I mean, we've heard comments that we're looking at the integration of electricity markets in the region as a whole. 7 countries in the next 4 years in the East African region will be able to jointly produce power and have supplies connected. Just how viable is that, realistically speaking?
Oh yes, it is. We already have a connection with Uganda, and we are doing a reinforcement of that connection as a second line between ourselves and Uganda. We've also working on a connection with Ethiopia because there are huge resources of hydro potential in Ethiopia. And we're also working on interconnection with Zambia and Tanzania. And that is one of our strategies to ensure that we are able to be more sustainable and also to be more to have more available and adequate supply of electricity. We have an instrument, the Eastern African Power Pool, which has been working on interconnection of different countries, and we support that instrument because we do know that for a reliable electricity network to be available, you need to have those interconnections so that you can create contingencies. If we have vigorous of weather in Kenya, then